Your position at NASA leverages your experience from the FAA. How does your education fit into that?
The job that I'm doing now as a manager of a project draws from a lot of different things. First off, since it is unmanned aircraft and its integration in the national airspace, my background working with the FAA, working for the FAA, has made me better qualified to understand the challenges associated with that. From an educational standpoint, both my background in business management, which helps me on the program management side, and from the psychology background, which is really, a lot of that was human factors work. So understanding that and how the differences between when the pilot is on board and when the pilot's off board has helped me understand that perspective of it as well. So really my education and my experience have both helped really address these challenges, help me understand how to address the challenges.
The master's degree that you have in operations research, did you make that choice building off of your degree in psychology?
Not really. It was really more of an area of interest for me. And I think most air traffic controllers sort of think analytically. Yeah. And so going down the path of operations research was just a natural fit with my not just my experience, but really the background that I have in terms of how I feel about certain things. So operations research is sort of optimization of scarce resources, but it also helps in problems like an air traffic control problem, where you're really trying to figure out what the situation is going to look like 5 minutes from now. Where are the aircraft all going to be? So being able to visualize that, which is something that I came by naturally, yeah. Is also sort of the same sort of skill set you need to do operations research.
Are you happy with your level of education? Is it? I'm sure it's enough for you to do your job. Did you think of maybe going further, like a doctoral degree?
So there are many jobs at NASA that require a doctoral degree. Mm-hmm. Program management's not one of them. For me, I always thought that I was going to get into some level of program management. Mm-hmm. And so I never aspired to get a PhD. I think the master's degree is sufficient for what I'm doing. Yeah. But if you're really doing research in very specific technical areas, having that doctoral degree is very beneficial. Yeah. Having understood how to go through the rigor of getting to that point, yeah. is the same type of rigor you have to apply to certain aspects of research. Yeah. So I think that from that perspective, it would be very good. For me personally, very satisfied with where I'm at. The one thing at NASA, like other scientific type organizations, is that having an engineering degree is probably better than having a degree in psychology. But yeah. but at the same time, the advancement in your career is really based on what you do and not necessarily what your education was. Yeah. So I've been able to sort of overcome the fact that I don't have an engineering degree by virtue of the fact that I had experience that kind of made up for that.
You're the right fit for this kind of position, especially dealing with the aspect of human research and that human interface.
Right. So I agree in this particular area. I think there are definitely areas within NASA and program management where you really do need to understand the technology at a different level. Mm-hmm. So a lot of aviation, either the aviation background or the background based on sort of the human factors, the human element of it, mm-hmm. Is really important. But if you're looking at strictly at some of the science side of NASA or the exploration side, there, I think, to be a project manager, you probably do need an engineering degree. And I think NASA sort of does that. They look at the individual project or program that you're going to be leading, yeah. and they make a decision as to whether or not, what level of technical background you need. And in a lot of cases, that does require a degree in engineering. Yeah. But for me, in this particular area, it doesn't. So.
What you're doing specifically leverages more knowledge and experience from the FAA, which is where you come from.
Right.
It makes sense.
Exactly.
Has the pace in your career seemed like it's kind of the same thing, or does the the research side actually take you to a different tempo?
Yeah. So as an air traffic controller, one thing is it's fast and furious. When you're actually doing the job. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's no in-basket, there's no email, your job's done. Someone else now is doing that, and you're off the clock.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing really to worry about until you show up for your shift the next day.
Yeah.
So at work, the operational tempo was very high, but in between it wasn't. So since working at NASA, and as my jobs have become progressively more responsible, there's a lot more work going on. So there's a much higher pace on a continual basis than there would be for segments of the time period when you're actually working. So, so I think that for me, my pace has increased and has been required to be at an increased pace based on the level of responsibility for this job. So this is really, it's not quite a 24/7 job, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot of there's a lot of political activity. There's a lot of technical activity going on, and you have to become aware of all that and stay abreast. And that means, you know, you might get a phone call at 10 p.m. or you might get an email at 4 in the morning, and you've got to be ready to respond to those things fairly immediately.